Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And can I associate myself with the remarks of the Prime Minister on the outrage that we all feel from what happened in Christchurch in New Zealand? We must work collectively together to drive hate out of our societies across the globe. And our thoughts are very much with the people of Mozambique, with Zimbabwe and those from Malawi. And we must do all we can to support those in those communities. Mr. Speaker, all our constituents will be watching on at the crisis and chaos that we're in, and we need to reflect on the fact that we are a week away from what is the intended day from leading the European Union and the responsibilities that we all have. Mr. Speaker, 6 days ago, the Chancellor of the Duchy of Lancaster said, in the absence of a deal, seeking such a short and critically one-off extension would be downright reckless. Downright reckless, Prime Minister. Does she agree with her de facto deputy that her actions this morning are downright reckless?
As I have set out clearly for the House in a number of answers that I've now given on this question, I believe this House has a responsibility to deliver on the Brexit. People voted for Brexit. We have a responsibility to deliver. I recognise that the Right Honourable Gentleman and his colleagues in the SNP have always taken the position they want to revoke Article 50 and not have Brexit. The Honourable Gentleman shouts correct from a sedentary position. At least that's a firm position, which is different from the Leader of the Opposition, who has continually moved his position on this issue. But I also believe that nearly 3 years on from the vote having taken place to deliver on Brexit for the British people, it is time for this House to face that fact, to face the consequences of its decisions, and to deliver on Brexit for the British people.
Order! We can't have people shouting out in the middle of the exchanges. Order! I don't need any help from any member in dealing with these matters, with which I'm very well familiar. The Prime Minister.
Grateful to us. Yeah, he's had to. Mr. Peter.
No, sorry.
Mr. Ian Blackford.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Can I say to the Prime Minister that we need to reflect that her deal had the biggest defeat in parliamentary history. She brought it back. It had the 4th biggest defeat in parliamentary history. Her deal has failed. This House has voted against no deal. Once again, the Prime Minister is acting in her own self-interest, not in the interests of the whole of the UK. The Prime Minister has failed. This place has failed, and Scotland is watching. The only way forward now, Mr. Speaker, is to put the decision back to the people. Will the Prime Minister give the people a say in such a referendum? Mr. Speaker, the people of Scotland deserve a choice over their future. If Westminster fails, Scotland will act.
Can I say to the Right Honourable Gentleman that there is an enormous responsibility. It's a huge honour and privilege to sit in this chamber, to be elected as a Member of Parliament, to represent our constituents, and we all have a responsibility. And this Parliament gave the decision to the British people. It took place in a referendum in 2016, and the result of that referendum was that we should leave the European Union. And the result of that referendum was that we should leave the European Union. And I believe for people to be able to have trust in their politicians and faith in this Parliament, it is imperative that this Parliament delivers on the Brexit that people voted for.